In Lebanon, 6 people were killed after an attack on a residential block following 17 raids by the Israeli Air Forces. In Argentina, the president ignores the demands of the massive marches held in the country on Wednesday and ratifies that he will veto the university financing law. And in the Dominican Republic, President Luis Abinader announced Wednesday that he will carry out an operation to expel 10,000 illegal Haitians every week. Hello from the headquarters of teleSUR English in Havana, Cuba. This is From the South. My name is Pablo Micheliche. We begin with the news. In Lebanon, 6 people were killed after an attack on a residential block following 17 raids by the Israeli Air Forces. The attacks set fire to an apartment in a multi-story building in the residential neighborhood of Bashura, not far from the United Nations headquarters, the Prime Minister's office and the parliament. In the last 24 hours, at least 46 people have been killed and 85 others wounded in a war that has claimed more than 1,000 lives in Lebanon. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres confirmed that the United Nations peacekeeping forces for Lebanon remain in the country despite Israeli demands for their withdrawal. According to the Secretary's office, the Zionist government demanded the withdrawal of the peacekeepers from positions near the Blue Line, the de facto border between Lebanon and Israel, claiming that they were trying to protect the UN forces. However, the UN has taken both operational and political decisions to stay. And Hezbollah leaders have denied that the Israeli regime is attacking military targets and reaffirmed that, on the contrary, Tel Aviv is targeting the civilian population. The Lebanese resistance stressed that there were not weapons of any kind in the buildings targeted by the Israeli forces. The movement emphasized that the systematic aggressions against residential areas by the occupation entity will only increase the determination of the Lebanese people to support the resistance. The State of Law Coalition leader Nouri al-Maliki honored the legacy of leader Hassan Nasrallah in his struggle for the liberation of the people. Let's see.
Sajid Nasrallah was not satisfied with liberating southern Lebanon. He made his way to the region. He did not stop at the borders of Lebanon, but his position was with his brother, wherever the challenge was, with the Syrians in the face of the sectarian strife that took place, and in Iraq, when he stood with us on the issue of confronting ISIS and its complices.
In other news, Russian authorities described the United States policies in relation to the Middle East conflicts as a failure. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova warned that the crisis in the Middle East is worsening, and the White House statement demonstrates its inability to cope with the situation. Zakharova stressed that the vague statements of the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken triggered thousands of casualties and brought the situation to a dead end. According to the spokeswoman, the recent events demonstrate the incompetence of the Biden administration in resolving the conflicts in the region. And almost a year after the Israeli genocide against Palestine and in the peak of conflict in the Middle East, Maïd El-Sadani, human rights advocate and executive director of the Tahrir Institute for Middle East Policy, says the role of the United States has been extremely detrimental to the region.
Unfortunately, the U.S. role in Gaza and now Lebanon has one that has not been productive. In fact, in many times it's been extremely harmful. In other times, the U.S. has been directly complicit in the violations that we're seeing taking place over the last almost year now. When we think about the U.S. role, it's a role that has involved public statements that have not sufficiently or at times ever centered the value of civilian life. It's a matter of continued arms transfers to Israel without any conditions. It's a matter of giving a green light to a escalatory policy by Israel that keeps moving the goalposts.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In Argentina, citizens mobilized to protest against funding cuts by the government of Javier Milei amid increased security measures by the authorities. Members of social trade unions, human rights, educational union, and students' organizations of the University Front gathered at the legislative headquarters, where they protested in defense of the university financing law and demanded the veto of the law of retirement mobility, in addition to rejecting the massive layoff, the growing unemployment and poverty, product of the measures used by the government of Milei. This broad unity between academic union students and social sectors has reinforced the demand for a state present to ensure education and decent work for all Argentines. This was the second federal university march during this first year of Javier Milei's government. Rallies were also held in the provinces of Córdoba, Santa Fe, Misiones, Tucumán, Catamarca, Mendoza, La Pampa, Santa Cruz, among others. In this sense, the crisis of educational financing, with special impact on the decrease of teachers' salaries and on the condition of the scientific system, was one of the central issues of the document read in the Congress Square in the central act of the mobilization.
Well, the march is good. We are here to defend our rights. All Argentines have the right to have access to a free public university. We are the first generation, so that the other generations can continue to have access to it. Today, we are here to defend not only our rights, but also the rights of our neighbors.
And in spite of the massive march of the Federal University that gathered more than 1 million people in the streets of Argentina, President Javier Milei announced that he will veto the law for financing the sector. In an attempt by the executive to delegitimize the demands of the mobilizations, they maintained that the university is not at risk, although the budget fell more than 30% in 1 year. However, the head of the state, through a statement, ratified that he will veto the law and asked the legislators not to make demagogic populism. We change topic. Colombia's National Unit for Disaster Risk Management announced measures to deal with the drought in the Amazonia. The director of the institution, Carlos Carrillo, decided to take immediate action after assessing the water situation in the region, visiting the affected indigenous settlements, and holding an emergency technical commission due to the low rainfall in the Amazon. These measures include the structuring of a specific action plan to deliver tanks, water treatment plants, and pressure pumps to 11 indigenous communities. The drought has interrupted the connection to Puerto Nariño, a critical point that is damaging the pink dolphins in the ecosystem and the water supply for around 10 indigenous communities. We go now to Venezuela. President Nicolás Maduro conducted an inspection visit to the road rolling plan of the National Steel Complex and urged the population to remain united to confront the destabilization attempts of the extreme right wing. During an official conference, the Venezuelan head of the state emphasized that despite the unilateral sanctions imposed by the United States and its European allies, the country has managed to overcome the imperial blockade. In this sense, President Maduro underlined the importance of reaching 100% production at the steel complex located in the Antimano parish of Caracas. He also showed that despite the multiple attempts of the Venezuelan extreme right wing to exercise violence in the country, the people have consolidated peace.
We have managed to consolidate peace. Some conspired against peace, they tried to burn, to kill, they did damage, the fascist sectors did damage. But the union of the people, the strength of the Venezuelan state, the constitution and the law were more powerful than all the plans to lead us to violence.
Claudia Sheinbaum signed her first presidential decree recognizing on behalf of the Mexican state that the acts of violence perpetrated on October 2, 1968 against the student movement were crimes against humanity. From Mexico City, Antonio Aranda gives us the details.
The students' struggle of 1964 marked the beginning of a deep democratic change in Mexico, but it was marked by violence and serious human rights violations.
Tens of thousands of young students demonstrated peacefully in defense of civil liberties and democracy.
Pablo Gómez, a current federal official, offered his testimony as a political prisoner of the student movement.
The message and objective of the movement was very much picked up. The democratic freedoms, part of those who picked up and have been picking up since then that message, that practice, that rebellion, that struggle, is the fourth transformation.
Claudia Sheinbaum fulfilled the slogan "October 2nd is not forgotten" and dedicated her first conference to commemorate this student movement.
Today, in the first morning conference of the people and maintaining the continuity of the fourth transformation, we will dedicate it to October 2nd.
President Sheinbaum emphasized that the assassination of the young students at the hand of the Díaz Ordaz government in the Triculture Square in Tlatelolco in 1964 paved the way for the democratic transformation of Mexico.
It was a movement at that time, and if you look at it, their demands were for no repression and democracy. Those young people later paved the way for the democratic struggle in the country and what we are living today. So let's hope that the youth will always be close to the people.
As they do every year, the survivors of the 1964 National Strike Council gathered in the Triculture Square to commemorate 56 years of these tragic events.
That freedom continue to expand in Mexico, that there be more democracy, more participation, and above all, that there be justice for the workers and the exploited people.
The people marched to the capital Zócalo, and the students recognized that the struggle for democracy and human rights continues.
It is worrying that year after year, we have the same demands, and now we are joining the issue of the 43 disappeared.
The current government expressed its commitment to offer guarantees of non-repetition of events such as those of 1964, which it considered to be serious human rights violations. For this reason, President Claudia Sheinbaum instructed the publication of a decree containing a public apology on behalf of the Mexican state to the victims of the act against humanity committed on October 2nd, 1964.
Antonio Aranda, teleSUR, Ciudad de México.
And we have a second show break coming up, but before, we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media to rewatch and where you can find and rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Financial break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In the Dominican Republic, President Luis Abinader announced Wednesday that he will carry out an operation to expel 10,000 illegal Haitians every week. According to the head of the state, the objective is to prioritize security in its territory, which shares a border with Haiti, shaken by the violence of criminal groups. The plan includes the strengthening of border monitoring and control through increased deployment of specialized personnel and equipment, a protocol for the identification of migrants and their return. The announcement was made at a press conference following a meeting of the National Defense and Security Council led by the Dominican president.
The first thing is the security of the Dominican Republic. Then we will explain, if we need to give that explanation why we are doing it. But we do not need to give an explanation to respect our immigration laws that are fundamental for any country.
Chile decided to apply to the International Olympic Committee to host the Olympic Games in 2036. Let's see.
Chile aims to strengthen its bid to host the 2036 Olympic Games and offer guarantees to the International Olympic Committee of a state commitment to its organization. The decision was taken after the country's good experience with the 2023 Pan American Games. The Chilean Minister of Sports, Jaime Pizarro, highlighted that after the meetings held in the French capital a month ago, during the development of the Olympic and Paralympic Games Paris 2024, the Chilean authorities are waiting for the communication from the International Olympic Committee for the progress of the postulation.
The 12th Buenos Aires International Documentary Film Festival opened in Argentina, with more than 130 productions on display. The films will be divided into 7 competitions, focuses, retrospectives and special screening, and will be presented in 7 venues throughout the territory. This year, the event proposes a selection of films with different perspectives. Among the films, we can highlight The Fall of the Sky by Brazilians Eric Rocha and Gabriela Carneiro da Cunha. There are also films from Switzerland and Belgium which will compete in the international category, while the Ibero-American productions include Savannah and the Mountain by Portuguese Paulo Carneiro. In Saudi Arabia, we will discover Alpha, a city lost in time, buried under the sands of the desert that holds secrets of ancient civilizations. Let's see.
An archaeological gem located at the intersection of Wadi ad-Dawasir and the Tuwaiq Cliff in the heart of Saudi Arabia that has been a key trading center since the Sumerian era. Because of its strategic location in Mesopotamia, it became a meeting point for cultures such as Akkadians, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Romans, Arabs, and Ottomans. Each of these civilizations left their mark in architecture, art, and daily life. Recent excavations have revealed palaces, temples, and artifacts that transport us to a rich and complex past. This place is more than ruins. It is a window into millennia of human history.
Más que ruinas, es una ventana a milenios de historia humana. Sus vestigios conectan a los habitantes actuales.
Its vestiges connect today's inhabitants with their ancestral roots, strengthening the sense of community and belonging. Extreme weather conditions, erosion, and the passage of time threaten this priceless heritage, but archaeologists and conservators work tirelessly to protect this treasure and pass it on to future generations.
Para proteger este tesoro y transmitirlo a las futuras generaciones. En la actualidad,
Alpha is currently at the center of an ambitious restoration and enhancement project. Thanks to the efforts of archaeologists, historians, and volunteers, this treasure of humanity is being revealed to the world, with its recent inscription on UNESCO's World Heritage List, giving recognition to its universal importance and a call to the international community to protect this unique legacy.
And with that story, we have come to the end of this news brief, but remember you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, my name is Pablo Micheliche. Thank you for watching.